Hey y'all, it's X, and welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to be doing another mock draft, one round today, and we're going to be including trades. So, a lot of stuff has happened since the last mock that I've released. A couple of head coaching hires have happened, as the Vegas Raiders ended up getting Pete Carroll, the Chicago Bears ended up getting Ben Johnson, some coordinators were hired. I believe Saleh is back on the 49ers. Patriots ended up, I don't know if it's official, but are looking at Josh McDaniels. Yeah, a lot of stuff has happened, and it's going to be really interesting. But before we jump in, remember to leave a like and sub if y'all mess with the content, and yeah, let's get started. So, Tennessee at number 1, I think I'm going to keep the pick the same. I think I'm going to continue to go Cam Ward. I do think that, there is stuff to pay attention to with the GM basically saying, like, hey, we're going to take the best player available. However, I would like to make it known that it is, like, smokescreen season for the NFL draft, which basically means teams are going to be putting out false reports to try and throw people off of what their actual game plan is. So him saying that could also just be a complete bluff, and they know that they're already taking Cam Ward at number 1. So we're going to go with that this week, and we'll see how that goes. Number 2 for Cleveland, I still think the best pick for them is Abdul Carter. I've seen some Travis Hunter in the spot. I personally am not a fan of that. Has nothing to do with Travis Hunter. It's more of the fact that I think Cleveland's needs of wide receiver and corner are not the biggest needs on their team. I do think an edge 2 is probably more important because Myles Garrett can't be your only source of pressure off the edge. He can be, but why would you want that? Why wouldn't you want to complement somebody as dominant as him? And probably, I just think it's smarter to have 2 very, very good edge rushers than a 4th corner and a wide receiver 2, maybe. I don't know. Depends on how you feel about Elijah Moore, or Cedric Tillman. Like, again, you have guys in that receiver room. Jerry Jeudy's obviously a stud. Like, I think I feel better about taking Abdul Carter at 2. Giants here at number 3. It's gonna pain me to go Shedeur Sanders. The Giants have been studying him really hard at the Senior Bowl, or was the Shrine Bowl? Is that what it was? I don't remember off the top of my head, but it might just be the smarter decision to go with him. I really just want this pick to be Travis Hunter, but for the sake of realism, I think I am going to go with Shedeur. We might experiment later with the chance of a non-quarterback going here at 3. Pick 4 here for the Patriots. With McDaniels coming in, I do feel like there could be an emphasis on trying to help Drake May out. So whether that means going Tedero McMillan, whether that means are we going with a Josh Simmons this high? Is Josh Connerly going to rise up draft boards really high? I'm not the biggest Kelvin Banks fan. Like, I do think he will go in the first round. I don't know where. Same thing with Will Campbell. But man, like Josh Simmons, if the injury stuff comes back positive, like he is the best tackle in this class, and it's not even close. Yeah, I do think that even though Travis Hunter is on the board, like you would be drafting him to play corner. Like, yes, he could play receiver, so maybe that's what offsets this, and we're still going Travis Hunter with this pick. But man, I feel like if you really want to help Drake May and like commit to that, you probably go O-line. But you know what? I think I'm going to make a trade down here. We are doing trades in this, so I think I'm going to look for a trade partner. I'm going to let you guys know what I'm thinking. Alright, so I'm going to have the Carolina Panthers here trading up probably to get Mason Graham to jump the Jaguars and make sure they don't take him. And Patriots going to be trading down to pick 8. They're going to be giving up a 4th round pick, and Carolina's going to give up a 2nd round pick next year. So we're going to make that trade. And like I said, Carolina here at pick 4, they're going to get probably their dream player in this class in Mason Graham. Obviously, like if they could get Abdul Carter, they would probably want that. But I think Mason Graham is an amazing pick. Patriots can trade down here, and I think probably end up grabbing a left tackle, which I think would be better for them, grabbing a pick next year as well. I could have done a 2nd this year, but it's not going to affect this mock either way, so I didn't really care too much. But you guys can let me know what fair compensation you would want to see for that trade, because this trade, what is the word that I'm looking for? Trade maker, sure. Like, I don't really think it has accurate compensation. But either way, Jaguars here at 5. No Mason Graham on the board. This pick is easier. We're going to go Travis Hunter. It would have been Will Johnson if Travis Hunter wasn't on the board. It's that simple. But Travis Hunter, I think, has just more upside for this team as like a receiver for them and a corner, and they desperately need both positions, honestly, like somebody next to Brian Thomas Jr. for the future and also somebody next to Tyson Campbell. So good pick for them. Raiders here at 6. Now here's an interesting thought. Wow, that was a stutter. Either way. Pete Carroll, does he want his Marshawn Lynch and Ashton Genty? I'm going to tell you guys right now, spoiler alert, if I don't have Ashton Genty go here, he is going to the Bears at pick 10. That simple. So it's interesting to think, will Pete Carroll want to have his run-heavy offense and maybe second round get his Russell Wilson in a Jalen Milroe? It's an interesting thought for sure. I've been going Tedero McMillan here a lot because this team desperately does need a receiver. I kind of want to experiment with the Ashton Genty going really high here. Let's do it. We're going to go Ashton Genty here at pick 6 and experiment with Pete Carroll just getting his running back, his Marshawn Lynch. Jets here at pick 7. This pick is even easier. You're going to go Will Johnson and be extremely happy with that. Don't really have to say too much. Just get somebody to pair next to Sauce Gardner. Obviously, Mason Graham's on the board. Will Johnson's best player available. Patriots here, you traded down. And I think in this spot, I am going to take Josh Simmons. I think he's the best tackle in the class. I don't think the Patriots are going to be scared to take a clear, talented player. This could very well be a defensive pick with Vrabel coming in, but I do think he recognizes that. I think if McDaniels does end up being your offensive coordinator, he's going to want to help Drake May, and I think that should be the Patriots' first priority. I think getting a defensive-minded head coach who is solid in Vrabel just raises the floor of your defense to a respectable level, right? And the offense is what you really need to focus on to make this team rise up a little bit. Saints here at pick 9. We're going to go Tedero McMillan. I've been saying for a while that this is my dream fit for McMillan, or I guess for the Saints, is getting a Tedero McMillan, because him next to Chris Olave is just going to be so beautiful to watch. I mean, they complement each other perfectly, with Olave being like more of the deep threat. I mean, McMillan's also a deep threat, but he's more of a jump ball guy, while Olave gets open with speed and route running. It's just really, really nice to have that combination. It's definitely going to be hard for defenses to cover both. Chicago here at pick 10. Sadly, we are not going to be able to grab Ashton Genty in this mock, but hey, maybe next time we'll get that to happen. But I do think that a team like Chicago with Ben Johnson as the coach, you're going to want to build through the trenches. So we're going to go Will Campbell here. I think this is the best spot for him. Just somewhere where he is not forced into any position. Like, you don't have to try him at tackle if you don't want to. He could be a short-term guard, a long-term tackle, or if you want to try him at tackle right away and figure out what to do with Braxton Jones, you can do that as well. I just think there's a lot of versatility that he offers you, and that's still valuable. Even though I don't love him right now, I do think that he is probably going to be a guard, but, you know, you can always try it. Let's see. San Francisco here at 11. Again, with Robert Saleh coming in, I do think that going edge is going to be big for them here, and I'm going to take James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee. Just somebody extremely explosive to put next to Nick Bosa, who has definitely been hurt a lot recently, but again, James Pierce is just such a threat off the edge. I want him to go top 10 so badly, just to validate everything that I've said about him. And when I eventually work out my big board, probably closer to the start of the draft, he's going to be high. I'm telling you, he might end up being top 5 for me. He's such a good player. Yeah, I love James Pierce Jr., man. Dallas here at pick 12. I've gone running back for them a couple of times in this spot with Amarian Hampton. I think I'm probably higher on him than a lot of people, which is crazy considering that I hated Amarian Hampton last year. Didn't hate him. I don't know him, but didn't like him as a player last year. And he's improved a lot, honestly. So it's been really, really cool to see. But I do think other positions of interest would be defensive line, which I believe I did last week. Could be wrong about that. Or I might have just been a mock that I was playing around with. I think that's what it was. I think I was just playing around with a mock draft and I did that. But you could also go receiver, which would be interesting. I don't know how high Matthew Golden goes. It's a thought, though, just somebody to stretch the field on the outside for this team. I do like the thought of that. But I think maybe having Dallas trade down would honestly be more valuable than anything, because I don't think you're going to go running back in the spot. I don't really love any players here on the board. So who do I want somebody to trade up for? I don't think it's going to be Malachi Starks. I think Mikael Williams is interesting for sure. A team trading up for a project edge, but somebody who could definitely be impactful. Kelvin Banks would be interesting to see somebody trade up for to jump Miami, because I think if he's on the board, Miami probably takes him. Who would jump for a tackle here? Seattle maybe, but I don't know if they would jump anybody for KBJ. And none of these teams in the 20s, besides like the Ravens, I would take tackle for. Is there a team that wants to jump Miami out of these teams? Cincinnati, maybe. Cincinnati's interesting. Who do they have at tackle? They have Amarius Mims, and is Orlando Brown Jr. still on that team? I don't even know. It would be Seattle. I'm just kind of nervous. I mean, Kelvin Banks could be a guard. All right, so we're going to have Cincinnati just trading a third-round pick to move up to pick 12 here, and we're going to have them take an edge rusher. With them starting to go off the board with James Pierce just going, I do think Mikael Williams is interesting for this team. It's Mikael Williams or it's Nick Scorton to me. I've seen some people go with Jalen Walker. I don't love the fit, to be honest. But, man, thinking of, like, the build of Trey Hendrickson, I think I'm going to go with Mikael Williams for them. I don't know if they can afford to take a project edge. That's the one concern with me in Mikael Williams. But, man, I mean, they have a new DC. Trey Hendrickson can mentor him. I have hope that this could work out. It is interesting, though. So let me know what you guys think of Mikael Williams being traded up for by Cincinnati. Miami here at 13. Kelvin Banks is on the board. I'm going to go O-line. They desperately need it. It's that simple to me. And tackle especially, honestly. Austin Jackson got a contract and is not playing that well. I know they drafted Patrick Paul and things like that. You still have Teron Armstead. You can also put Kelvin Banks at guard. So I'm really not like... I'm not like in love with him as a tackle prospect so much that I'm like, he has to stay at tackle. And again, short-term guard, long-term tackle. That could be the play. Indy at 14. I know this pick is probably just getting very stale, but Tyler Warren is probably just the best pick for this team. Very willing blocker. This team is probably going to play a lot more through the run next year, while Anthony Richardson is still trying to develop as a passer. But also could just be a big target for him to hit downfield, and he does have accuracy issues, so that could 100% help him out. But yeah. Atlanta here at 15. I think I'm going to mix it up and go Jahad Campbell before Jalen Walker this time. I've usually gone Jalen Walker if he's just here, but I think I'm going to mix it up. I think Jahad Campbell is another really, really good fit for Atlanta. I've done that a couple of times, but it is interesting to see how the board would fall if Jalen Walker's maybe passed on here. I do think he does go higher, but I think Jahad Campbell is just a really, really good player. Number one edge in his high school class, which is really, really good sign, honestly. Like we've said before, the only reason he didn't play edge for Bama is because they had a billion of them. So he ended up moving to linebacker to get more playing time. But he is truly an edge rusher, and I do think that shows on tape. So Arizona at 16, it's not really going to make much of a difference, but we are going to go with Jalen Walker. I think he's also a really good fit for this team. I think the type of linebacker that they have, or type of edge rusher with like a B.J. Ojolari, a Baron Browning, I do think that kind of fits the athletic profile of a Jalen Walker. So that kind of edge is like the kind of person that they look for. I do think that he would be a good fit for this team. Now, do I love how Arizona's developed their edge rusher so far? No. But again, if he doesn't work out, I do think that he could go play linebacker at a solid level. Dallas here at 17. I do feel like this is a better spot for them to go receiver with a Matthew Golden. I do like D-line here as well. I do think that there are better interiors for them in the second round. Like I'm looking at like a TJ Sanders, an Alfred Collins, Omar Norman-Lott's going to be there. Jordan Burch is going to be there. I like that more than the receivers available, so we're going to go with Matthew Golden here at pick 17. Somebody on the outside can really stretch the field next to CeeDee Lamb, allow CeeDee Lamb to stay in the slot and kind of flex in and out as he usually does, and just not really get in the way of that like I think in Emeka Egbuka or Luther Burden might. I think that those two are probably heavy slot receivers. So, pick 18 here for Seattle. I'm going to go with an interesting pick here that I haven't made before. We're going to go with Malachi Starks. He's falling. This team needs safety, and I think in a Mike McDonald defense, getting your, I won't call him Kyle Hamilton, but getting a chess piece in a similar way, to a less extent, 100%. He's not Kyle Hamilton. I'm not saying that. But getting a very solid chess piece in Malachi Starks is something that I think Mike McDonald will make magic out of. Tampa Bay here for pick 19. I've been going with Jahad Campbell for the longest time for them. What do you do when he's not on the board? I think that this is definitely a trade down spot. I'll tell you that much right now. And the team that I think could end up moving up is a team like Buffalo. I kind of want to see Buffalo move up for a receiver or an interior D lineman. I don't think they need to move up for interior D line because they haven't gone off the board yet, really. But they have 2 second-round picks, so it's really interesting to think of, like, okay, they have the ammo to move up. Will they actually do it? I'm in full support of it, honestly. You'd be jumping Denver for a receiver and Pittsburgh as well. So if they want somebody like a Luther Burden or an Emeka Egbuka, who's probably the best like number 2 option in college football, I'm completely fine with that. I know you might think that like Emeka Egbuka is just a slot only guy. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think he's going to be able to play on the outside at a really, really high level, honestly. I know you have Khalil Shakir in the slot, so I know that kind of like forces Egbuka to play on the outside if you want Shakir to still be there. And obviously I think he's a good player, so I think it's worth it. But I do like Emeka Egbuka on this team, complimenting Keon Coleman. So I think I'm going to try and make that move. All right, so all it's going to take here is 1 second-round pick. I think that's completely fair. I think we're going to go with 62. I think that's fine. So yeah, Buffalo's going to move up here to pick 19 and end up taking Emeka Egbuka. Sorry, Houston, because I know I've gone with him there a lot too. Just the chemistry with him and CJ Stroud is just going to be really cool to see at the next level if that happens. Denver here, pick 20. I think I would have wanted Emeka Egbuka for them. I do think Luther Burden's interesting. Although I do think like Marvin Mims, with his side, like he's not that tall, so I do like him more as a slot. I think he does play on the outside though, so maybe you don't do that. Man, this team's done such a good job at developing their edge rushers, by the way. Like Jonathan Cooper and Nick Benito having great seasons. So cool to see from them. I do think with Ben Morrison coming out, a corner could be interesting for this team. I didn't announce that at the beginning of the video, but Ben Morrison did officially declare. It's really hard to gauge where he's going to go. I do think that Indy is probably like the ceiling for where he goes. We just need to see what the injuries look like. I think it's that simple. If the injuries are a red flag, then I wouldn't really take him in the first round. But the talent we know is there, but man, those red flags at injuries, they need to come back positive or it's going to be really bad for him. But Denver, I think we're going to go with Colston Loveland. He's just a very good player. Another good weapon for Bo Nix. I do like the idea of maybe waiting for Terrence Ferguson in like the 3rd, 4th round, but I think for the sake of this video, I'm fine with going with Loveland. Pittsburgh here at 21. We're going to make the pick that I just talked about with Ben Morrison. I think he's a great fit for this team. Next to JPJ, like those two would be monsters. I really trust Pittsburgh to develop him well. And I do think at the end of the day, it's not the worst for them if this pick doesn't go well, because I trust them to develop other corners or find... like, they're in a position where it's like Joey Porter Jr. is playing great, Dante Jackson's been playing solid for them. Is it Billy Bishop or Beanie Bishop? Whoever their slot corner is, he's been playing really well for them. So I do have, like, faith in Pittsburgh to make this up if they need to go out, sign a free agent, and make it work. So I don't think this is like the end-all be-all, but the sky-high potential of Ben Morrison is a CB1, honestly. Like, it's really there for him. Just, man, the injury stuff needs to come back positive. Pick 22 here for the Chargers. I'm going to go with the pick I haven't made in a while. And we're going to go with Kenneth Grant on the inside. Get one of Harbaugh's guys. This team just really needs a good presence on the interior. Like, you could go edge for this team as well with, I believe, Khalil Mack saying he's going to come back. Like, he's not going to retire, but it looks like he's probably going to want to go play for a contender next year. So Khalil Mack, you can assume, is out the door. You do have Tully Tulipulotu, I believe is how you say his name, and a washed Joey Bosa. So just getting more pressure from the interior could help. Again, you could go edge here. I'm actually in support of doing that, but I think we're going to wait for now. Green Bay here at pick 23. I do like Nick Scorton's falling. I like the idea of Nick Scorton to this team. I do think he's like the kind of build that they're looking for. And I do like going edge for them. But I do like just maybe waiting for a Donovan Azurewaku who's going to be very familiar with the scheme. So I think maybe that's better in the 2nd round. You could go tackle for this team. I'm not huge on it. I've seen some people say that they're not the biggest Rasheed Walker guys. I think Rasheed Walker's fine. Receiver's interesting. I wouldn't go Luther Burden for this team, though. I do want to go corner, I think. I think we're going to go with Savon Revel, sorry. I think Savon Revel, if he tests out well, or not if he tests out well, if the injuries come back positive for him. Again, it's a torn ACL, which is serious, but also I don't think it's the end of the world for him. So, I think he'll be fine. It's not like Ben Morrison where he had a hip injury, which can be detrimental for corners. But I think Revel will come back and be very, very solid next year. Minnesota here at 24. This team definitely needs corner. I'm trying to see if I want to see like any other teams trade up here, like maybe Baltimore. I'm not like in a rush to make a pick for Minnesota here, to be honest. Jedi Baron could be interesting. I don't know if he's going to go first round. Yeah, I feel like I would maybe want to take like Amari and Hampton at the end of the first round for this team, and I'm just not really in a rush to take him. Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe I have Baltimore moving up for Josh Connerly, but I don't really think that they need to do that. I feel like Washington might move up for Josh Connerly. I think I'm going to try and make that happen. All right, so this is going to be the trade. It's going to be pick 29 for pick 24. Washington's going to be trading a third-round pick and getting back a fifth. Probably could have done less than that, honestly. I probably could have just like swapped fifths, but Minnesota doesn't really have a lot of picks. But trading back for them could really help and just get them another swing at the bat here. They don't have a lot of picks here, man. So yeah, we're gonna go with that. Washington is gonna trade up here and grab Josh Connerly Jr. Could play right or left tackle for this team. Yeah, I feel like Washington hasn't done a bad job of developing their offensive linemen. Sam Cosmi's been a stud at both tackle and guard, honestly. Like I've said that he could have gone back and played tackle at a perfectly fine level, but they wanted to keep him at guard, and that's fine. It's worked out for them. But I believe Brandon Coleman they drafted, who I didn't really have a lot of faith in, has been pretty solid for them this year. So they're actually playing right now as I speak, and it's not going well. But it is what it is. Houston here at 25. No Emeka Egbuka on the board, but we are going to go with Luther Burden. Yeah, I'm concerned with this team's receiver room always being hurt. Stephon Diggs is probably going to walk. He was just a rental. Tank Dell, his long-term future is up in the air. Nico Collins is always hurt, even though he's very, very good, but he does have some injury concerns most of the year. So, yeah, I do think that you need to probably address that receiver room and just get more bodies in there. Pick 26 here for the Rams. Tackle is definitely a thought here. You could go with Ariante Ursary. You could definitely go with a... where is he? Is he here? Hold on, I gotta find him. I'm thinking of Armand Membu. Where is he? Is he like all the way down here still? Where's Armand Membu? He might be a guard, actually. Is Membu here? Yeah, he is. You could go with Armand Membu. You could also go with Donovan Jackson if you want to experiment with him playing left tackle. I'm not actually against that. But there are guys here for them. I do think corner is another thought for the Rams. They need more players there as well. I would like maybe Trey Amos, Azariah Thomas. I feel like Jedi Baron could actually be decent for this team. Maybe Azariah is not the best fit for this team, or Trey Amos. Darian Porter's interesting. I like Denzel Burke for them later on, but I wouldn't go with him this high, obviously. You don't really need edge. You don't need receiver. It really would be tackle. I think we're going to go with Ariante Ursary. He's a really good player, man. Baltimore here at 27. Nick Scorton is still here, man. If I don't go with him here, he's going at 28. That's really all it is. If he's not going here, it's 28. Ravens here, like they need a tackle. But I feel like what's his name's going to come back, so I'm not really concerned with that. I think interior could be interesting for this team. I think I'm going to go with Donovan Jackson. We're going to Donovan Jackson to the Ravens. Let me know what you guys think about that. But I think a guy who was very familiar with a run-blocking scheme and tackle flexibility, I think he's going to go really high, like compared to what people expect. Donovan Jackson has been solid throughout his entire career. And then this year, he ended up having to replace Josh Simmons at tackle for a couple of games. And while like it started off pretty rough, as you would expect for a guard going to play probably the most important spot on the offensive line, throughout the college football playoffs, he was actually pretty amazing at playing tackle. And I do think that as the year went on, he transitioned really, really well, very fast for the very small sample size that you have. So I think that if you don't bring back Ronnie Stanley, it's not the end of the world. But also, he could help you immediately because Patrick McCarry is a free agent. So I actually really like this pick for Baltimore. I might start making this a little bit more often. Detroit here, 28. We already talked about this. Nick Scorton, I mean, what a home run pick if you can get him. I think he could go so much higher than this, but we really mix it up this draft. But I really just think that Nick Scorton is a perfect fit for this team, honestly. Pick 29 here for Minnesota. Considering who's available, you could go with Jedi Baron. You could go with, you could honestly go interior, and I wouldn't be like horribly mad at that. Safety's kind of funny for this team. I think D-line is kind of something I want to experiment with, though. I'm thinking of like Walter Nolan or Derek Harmon or Talik Williams because I like all three of them. I think we're gonna go Talik Williams. I think I've liked him really like a lot in the college football playoffs, man. He's really like gone up my board personally a lot. Just really, really good performance across the entire playoffs, across the entire year. Really good run stopper, solid pass rush upside. I won't say it's there on tape. I do think Ohio State's DC has just been kind of notorious for kind of misusing his talent. Like Davison Igbinosun and Denzel Burke were kind of getting cooked a lot this year because they just weren't playing in a scheme that benefited them. And I feel like the same could be said for Talik Williams, and I believe Ty Williams is the other Ohio State defensive lineman, if I'm not wrong. Is that his name? I think he's also coming out this year. I could probably tell you. I do like Darius Alexander, CJ West. CJ West is having a really good Shrine Bowl right now, or Senior Bowl. Is his name Ty Williams? Is he coming out this year? I feel like no, not Tywone Malone. That's not what I'm thinking of. Maybe it is what I'm thinking of. Who knows? I feel like, either way, my point being, I feel like Ohio State just misused a lot of their talent, but they still kind of shined. Tampa Bay here at 30. We had them drop a lot. I'm going to have them go with Mike Green here. I think if you can't get Jihad Campbell, I think Mike Green is the next best bet. That sucks for Philly, because I really don't know where I'm going to go with them for here, like, for this pick. It definitely gets really difficult. Because I don't really love the fit of any of these edge rushers to this team. Like, Mike Green was the pick. This is probably just a trade down spot. Like, you could go interior O-line. I'm not a huge fan. Maybe Milam is fine. I do think Wyatt Milam probably goes high. We're going to go with Wyatt Milam for them. This could definitely be a trade down spot. I'm not mad at that at all. But yeah, I do think that could be the pick. And you know what? For the sake of fun, I do think he would be there in the second round, but there's no guarantees with Cleveland. I think we're going to have the Chiefs trading down here at 32. And we're going to have the Raiders, wherever they are. Where is... Oh, I'm looking for KC. All right. Yeah, I do think we're going to have the Raiders trade up because they're going to be looking for their quarterback of the future and get him on that 5th round deal. We're going to probably do something like this, swapping 3rd round picks. So Kansas City is going to be trading out of the 1st round down to pick 37, but also trading up in the 3rd round here from 96 to 73. And Vegas is going to be getting, hold on. Okay, so for whatever reason, I need to start using a different website. This website's always bugging for me. But either way, this is going to be the Raiders here at 32. You guys saw the trade here. It's just not going to go through for some reason. Like, I'm clicking the button. It doesn't want to do anything. But the Raiders are trading up here, trading back in the 3rd round. And they're going to select Jalen Milroe. So this is not Kansas City taking Jalen Milroe in the 1st. That would be insane if that ever happened. Just one bad Patrick Mahomes here, and they're like, let's get a project QB in the 1st round. That would be pretty funny. But yeah, it's going to be the Raiders trading up for Jalen Milroe. Not that I think he is worth trading up for in the 1st. However, I do think that getting him on that 5th year option does have some value to it. Gives you more time to think about if you want to develop him or not. But I think Pete Carroll getting his Russell Wilson in this case would be pretty cool. Getting his Marshawn Lynch and Russell Wilson would be pretty dope. So that's going to be the video. Remember to leave a like and sub if y'all messing with the content, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.